Hi there, and thank you so much for watching. Today is the last Saturday of 2018, and I don't know about you, but for me this has been a wild year. I've done things that I never thought I would do. Actually, that's not true. No, that is true. I think I've experienced more things this year than I ever thought that I would. Pretty much within like the realm of expectation, but a lot of it was kind of new and unexpected. So. The purpose of this video is to share something with you that I came upon and was so grateful to find, and that is the idea of doing a completion ceremony for the year that has just passed. So I came upon this idea in a video where a woman was sharing about her like year planning process, and she mentioned having a completion circle in this workbook that she was doing. And I was super excited because I'd never seen the idea of actually writing out um, all of the things and releasing the things from the previous year. So I'll show you that page, and then I'll end with walking through that page. So this is the circle that I saw in this woman's YouTube video, and it's from a workbook by Leonie Dawson. Now, this is from 2015. I no longer use these workbooks. I've done them 3 years. I did them 3 years in a row. I did it 13, 14, and 2015, and they were awesome. Completely changed my life, and I do chart my biggest growth from 2014 and 15, like when I was doing those workbooks. And the reason why I no longer do them is because they're a little bit, they started to be a little too new agey, meaning very much more, I guess, like pagan Wiccan elements than I was comfortable with, coming from a traditional Reformed Christian background. So that being said, there is tremendous wisdom in this, and that is why I try to do this completion ceremony at the end of every year. So I'm going to share some of the questions that were asked in this workbook because they're so powerful in helping you release anything that was holding you back from the year in the year previous. Because I think there's all this emphasis on like goal setting and what have you, but nothing on acknowledging and releasing some of the things that did hold you back, those obstacles, those setbacks, those challenges that you maybe wish that you'd reacted differently to, or that you were disappointed about, but need to really release before you can move forward fully into the new year. So this is from 2014 into 15, the very important closing ceremony. So I'm going to use this for 2018 going into 2019. So this is the very important closing ceremony for 2018 moving into 2019. And there are like pages and pages, there are like 6 or 7 pages of questions in this book, and all of them are valuable, but I kind of pulled out of those pages what I feel like are the 5 most valuable questions. So I'm going to state them, and I'm going to share a little bit about my journey and what I felt was helpful, and what I need to release from 2018 moving into 2019. So here are the questions, 5 questions. Question number 1, what life lessons did you learn? And I would say beyond a shadow of a doubt, the number 1 life lesson I learned was listen to your mom. Your mom has some tremendous wisdom, because through this year, and I've always known this, but I felt it the most this year because she really stood by me when I felt like nobody else did. And even because I have some really good friends whose moms aren't with them anymore, and I think it's important too to remember things that your mom said, things that, the best parts of what your mom brought to you. So also taking from that life lessons. And I hate to say trust your gut, because sometimes your gut's wrong, but your deepest intuition, if you really are quiet and practice listening to that intuition, your deepest intuition is often your best guide. So I have definitely found that true in this year, 2018. So that is life lesson number 1. Question number 2, what dreams came true? So a couple dreams, and I've mentioned them before. I got to climb a 14er. That was awesome. I also, in terms of dreams come true, so I'm going to be careful about how I say this. I have always been someone who takes relationships very, very, very seriously. And that's kind of a fault, is that I tend to take things too seriously, and I have a hard time lightening up. So that goes back to, I think, life lessons, like It's not that serious. Lighten up. So that's a big life lesson. But in terms of dreams come true, I also tend to be, so there are two things about me. I tend to be very controlling, and I need to control what I see in front of me because, and it comes from a place of wanting to feel safe. If I can control it, I can make myself safe, I can make you safe, I can make my family safe. And I really come from a place of safety and security, not like power trippy kind of thing, but it comes from a good place, but it often takes a bad form. And what it's also done for me, especially in relationships, is it's limited me to people, and for me men, that I can not control, but men that are within my sort of scope. And I knew in my heart that that wasn't the relationship I want. Like, I don't want to control someone in a relationship. That's not like appealing to me. But that was the type of men that I tended to end up with. Or men that wanted to be controlled by me. And I'm like, that was just not something that I wanted to do. As a result, I'd had a hard time being successful in relationships because I didn't want to control a man. So I wouldn't want to stay in that relationship, and I would really call it early. So I guess a dream that came true was meeting and spending time with someone who, and I mentioned this before kind of briefly in passing, whose dreams were bigger than mine and whose capacity was much bigger than mine, which was very exciting for me. So that was definitely a huge dream come true, that I kind of desired but didn't actually know if I'd be able to see in front of me. So I did, and that was a dream come true. Cool. So question number 3, what am I proud of myself for? I am, let me just say, I am proud of myself for this year, because this is a tough year, but a great year and an awesome year. So I guess I'm most proud of myself for persevering and for standing true, even when, for standing up for myself, for closure, I think was the biggest thing. Because I chuckle because on the one hand, it was like this situation that I kind of got embroiled in was so ridiculous. Like it was crazy. Like there were some crazy people, like literally like clinically crazy people involved in the situation that happened to have a degree of influence. And it was a situation that I would have preferred to have left in 2017, but these people decided that they wanted to bring it into 2018. And once that happened, like this happened in January of 2018, when someone was like, no, like that issue that you thought you left, no, I'm going to bring that here. And I was like, okay, then we're going to go. And I stood up for myself. And this is where my mother was so unbelievably, incredibly helpful, was in that she kind of stood up with me, and she helped me speak what I needed to speak with grace, ease, and clarity, but also with conviction. And I went to people involved and said, hey, I would like this from you. If you are going to request this of me, then I would like this of you, and I would like this of this person, and this person, and this person. And by March of this year, the first 3 months of this year were pretty eventful in terms of closure. So through a series of challenging but ultimately very good conversations, I was able to get that closure that I looked for. So I am proud of myself for seeking that out and for not stopping until I got it. So I'm really proud of myself for that. And I'm proud of myself for my resilience. Because that's something that I've come to appreciate about myself, is that in the face of setbacks, like for example, losing my job in February, not being so super, continuing to look for relationships, continuing to work to become the kind of person that I would want to be in a relationship with, professional, personal, financial, for really moving forward in those areas and for not letting the setbacks get to me. And I mean, everyone has moments when, like they go up and down, and I certainly go up and down in terms of motivation, but I think throughout it all, I really try to be a resilient person. One of my mottos is keep it moving, just keep it moving. So I'm proud of myself for that. So I would say resilience, standing strong, and seeking resolution are the 3 things that I'm most proud of myself for this year. Question number 4, what felt out of whack or crazy making, and what can be done to change this? So a couple things. Again, in dealing with those people in my life that were clinically crazy, not their fault, they're just clinically crazy. It's okay, and they happen to have some influence, but again, like, crazy finds its level. Like, after a while, like, people start to realize, like, hey, this person's maybe not so hinged, or hey, yeah, I've had this similar experience with this person, and I'm like, you know what, you just kind of have to take it for what it is. Don't take it personal and release it. Keep it moving, move on. So that was really big. What did feel out of whack? That felt a little out of whack. And what can be done? Just minimize time with those people. Say, you know, you're you and I'm me, and this is my, you know, like, I'm just going to try to minimize my contact with you, is all. But also when I learned this in therapy, I've been in therapy for 10 years, and it's just kind of like standard stuff. My parents divorced when I was 13, and it was kind of like it wasn't the smoothest of breakups. And so just standard family stuff that I'm in therapy for. And it's just been the most transformative thing over the period of about 10 years. And so I have a really good relationship with my therapist. I actually went back to her in September of this year, September, maybe October, November of this year. She's awesome. And we have this 10-year long history. And I kind of was talking to her about some issues that had come up recently in my life, and she said this was super powerful, because I was like, well, I think that there's this person has a deeper motivation for what they're actually saying. Like, they're saying this, but there's some deeper meaning. And she's like, you know what? And I'm like, they're not telling me. And she's like, you don't have to know in order to remain grounded. You do not need to know in order to remain grounded. And that was huge, because I feel like what can be done to change the crazy is to be super grounded in myself, and to be super strong and oriented in who I am, what I believe, and what I stand for, so that whatever happens around me, I'm able to maintain my footing. And I think that was sort of a huge lesson, proud of myself, out of what can be done to change the crazy, is to reaffirm my own sanity, for sure. So that was a huge lesson and a huge step that I took in grounding myself. And also a big component of being grounded is adding in meditation. I've spoken about this before, but for me, I try to take 7 minutes every morning. It doesn't always happen. It's not always 7 minutes. Sometimes it's 30 seconds, but I try to take it before I leave my bedroom, and like sit on my floor and just take 30 seconds of silence, or 7 minutes, or 15 minutes of silence, just to be quiet in myself. Because it's really easy to get caught up in all the noise that happens throughout the day, and it's easy to lose touch with that inner peace and grounding. So that is a huge thing that I do to change the crazy that's happening, or that may happen around me. Okay, so question number 5. What do you need to express about 2018 in order to feel complete? And for me, I feel like 2018 completed itself. That was just kind of the biggest thing. Like, 2018 is complete, and it was probably complete in March. And then some wonderful things happened from like June to November, early December. And then the rest of that is, you know what? You can only change you. I can only control me. So that's something else that I need to really express to myself, is that ultimately I can only change and affect myself, and that is the most power that I have. There's a quote from Seneca that a violin teacher had mentioned, and I love it. It's, he is most powerful who has himself and his own power. So that is these are my completion questions for 2018. And moving on to the completion ceremony for 2018, just slightly different. So I will once again show you the completion circle for 2018. This is what it looks like. And each section has a little reading that comes along with it. And the idea being that you put your hand in the center of this circle, or you just draw a circle on a piece of paper and put your hand inside it and receive the energy of completion. And if this sounds a little airy-fairy, whatever for you, bear with me, because I feel like there is tremendous power, A, in what you give power, but B, in also acknowledging the unseen forces in this world, whether you're an atheist or Jewish, Christian, pagan, Wiccan, whatever your tradition. There are forces that you can't see, even if like quantum theory, the idea of like vibrations all around us. There are things that we don't understand as humans. And I feel like this circle in some way says, you take the energy of the year and you are grateful, you appreciate it, and then you release anything that no longer serves you. So that's what this ceremony is about. And again, as someone who identifies as a Reformed traditional Presbyterian, PCA, Presbyterian kind of girl, I actually am a huge fan of crystals, as just a way of sort of acknowledging the energy of the earth that is around us. So this is a huge hunk of rose quartz, and I bought this during a tough time in my life when I was looking for love. And I find it tremendously comforting, and it's calming to hold. So for me, it's helpful to hold, just as I'm kind of like meditating on any sort of specific action. So and I'm going to read through this circle, and as I read each statement, I have also attached to it a Bible verse that is meaningful and that brings the energy of that statement that represents the energy from that statement, because I feel like the Bible is big on completion. The Old Testament, New Testament, Christ's coming was a completion, the fulfillment of the law. So I feel like it's a wonderful thing to recognize those cycles and that completion and that fulfillment in our own lives. So I'm going to read through these statements, and I invite you to participate if you would like to, and I hope that this will be helpful for you. So the first statement is, we breathe and give thanks for all that has passed. And the verse is Isaiah 43:18, forget the former things, do not dwell on the past. The second statement is, we open up to the beautiful possibilities blossoming before us. And the verse is Mark 9:23. If you can, said Jesus, all things are possible for him who believes. Statement number 3, we let go and breathe, releasing all that is old and no longer serves us. And statement number 4, we radiate in light and joy. All is beautiful and all is well. And the Bible verse is Isaiah 43:19. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the desert and springs in the wasteland. I thank you for watching, and I wish for you, I pray for you, I hope for you the very best 2019 possible as you celebrate and release 2018.